welcome back to Fireside and Fairy Tale at Apple Tree Cottage here in the Scottish borders. It's lovely to see you again. This is Tuesday the 8th of April 2025, and I would like to welcome all my new subscribers and welcome back all those who have been following me for a while. Thank you so much for the lovely comments and encouragement. I'm really enjoying being on Flosstube, and I really feel that I'm part of an absolutely wonderful community. So what have I been stitching in the last week? I have been focused on one particular one, so there's less progress on the other samplers on my list, but I have done a little. I want to first of all share what my thoughts on, discuss threads, what my thoughts are about the first Blackbird design that I'm going to talk about today, and it is called My Heart Can Rest, and it's based on a really delightful little French sampler which is extremely faded. And Blackbird Designs have certainly strengthened the pinks in this. I think it's been the more gentle pastels that have faded on the original, but the greens have retained their more of their strength. And so they have tried to balance up the originals to make it into a more complete and finished design. Now I decided that I would work with silks on this sampler. They call for 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus, and I did start on Heartland. And if you look back a couple of weeks, you'll see my first start on it, where I began in the middle on Heartland, but there were a number of reasons why I didn't feel I wanted to go with that. One of them being I did not have 36 count Heartland. I had only a piece of 40 count that I could obtain, and I wanted to go with 36 count. So I've chosen for the fabric, I've chosen one of my favourite fabrics, which is Winter Brew. Sometimes it's advertised as Winter's Brew, by R&R Reproduction. And I love this fabric in that it really is, it's a neutral with a slightly greenish tinge going through it. And I felt that was really appropriate for trying to depict the original. Now I will be putting the silk, my choice of silks, the conversion, in the show notes below. So if you click on under my video, if you click on more, you'll find that they do come up. If you have a problem with seeing my conversion, then please do contact me, and I will try and sort that out. If you go to Instagram, you can contact me that way. Now, their called for threads were a mixture of classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works, which I use a great deal. I do love them, but I did want to go with silk. I felt that that would be rather appropriate for a finish on this. However, it has meant that the start has been rather more measured and slow. So I'll just talk through a few pointers with you. One of my choices was going to be Caron Waterlilies, which is an absolutely gorgeous collection of silk. And I was going to use Rose Blush. However, as you can see, it's strongly variegated. And I really wanted to get pink that was going to be rather more steady in variegation, so that I would get the desired effect on the actual sampler. So my pink will be, I get them out. Here we are. My pink will be Desert Rose by Gloriana. Now most of the silks that I've chosen, in fact I think all of them are Gloriana. I absolutely love Gloriana silk. They're just beautiful. I had chosen one MPI silk, which was 713, colour 713, and I started to use that up at the top, but I felt it was rather a dense effect. So I've chosen, I'm going to take these out, I think, or I might just leave them. We'll see. But I'm certainly going to change the NPI for another Gloriana, which is called, it's beautiful, it's Dried Pink Roses. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see there's just a little bit of colour variation going on there. It's rather more vibrant, less dense than the NPI. And actually, as you can see, I've already been using it. I had it in my silk drawer, so this is going to be the choice. And the other big difference, two differences, I was very much in two minds about Classic Colorworks Belle Soie Sage Brush. It's just too minty a green, I felt, for what I wanted. In fact, it really wasn't going to work at all. So that has been put to the side, and it has been replaced by Gloriana Leaf Green, which will go very well in that central leaf and around the various leaves. And finally, I had gone for Gloriana Baby Corn, but this is far too yellow, it's far too bright, it really doesn't work at all. I have put it in here on this bud, and it really isn't working, it's just not working at all for me. So I have decided, and this is AVAS Soie d'Alger 2212. So that seems to be my only one that is actually not Gloriana. And the choice for this has been because, again, I had it in my silk drawer. But you can see it's vastly different from the baby corn. So quite a lot of changes in the last week, and quite a lot of thinking and a little bit of experimentation over it. I also made a mistake, which actually I think I might keep, in that I've made two buds at the top there. There should actually, this one is one too many, but it does actually balance up what the girl did on this side rather better than leaving that one blank. So I might keep it. However, I'll probably replace the baby corn with my Belle Soie Soie d'Alger. I think I'm really going to have to do that because this one's just vanishing. So when you do thread conversions, it does take some thought, and of course if you don't have the silk ready in your silk drawer, then it can be quite expensive to try and work out what will work and what won't work. And I have to say, I will put this conversion, someone has asked for that, bearing in mind I haven't actually stitched the sampler yet. So in a way, it's a bit of a pig in a poke, as we would talk about. It's in a way, let's just wait and see. Let's see if my choices are actually satisfying. I would say there is one important thing that I did note when I was looking at the actual chart. I think they call for peanut brittle, in I think Classic Colorworks. Let me just have a look. for the smaller bud, yes, they're asking for peanut brittle, and that's a very sort of tan colour. Peanut brittle is by Classic Colorworks, and it really is rather a tan colour, and I feel probably it might be better to have more pink there. It's difficult because the original is actually very faded. But one other important thing is the larger rosebud in the middle. They have chosen to go with Classic Colorworks Jakey Brown, which is quite a dense deep pink, and it's not variegated. Oh, it perhaps is variegated, because in the photograph, though it says to use one thread for the entire bud, there are actually two very different pinks in there. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to make the top of the bud lighter, and then the middle of the bud, the foot of the pink, darker pink, so that I can actually copy what their result is. And probably that's due to the variegation on the thread when the lady was stitching it, whoever the model stitcher was. So loving this, but I am taking my time to get it started properly, and I think that's time well spent. Now, the work of the week has actually been my own design, which is the King of Love, My Shepherd Is. This is my Easter stitch. I have now finished it. I felt I really wanted to finish it so that it would be ready well in time for Easter, which is another, well, it's 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks away yet. And this one, as you can see from my introduction, it's really been based on primroses. I've got an Easter basket up at the top there. The words are from a lovely hymn, The King of Love, my shepherd is, whose goodness faileth never. I nothing lack if I am his, and he is mine forever. And of course, that's the first verse. It goes on from there because it's actually a variation of the beautiful 23rd Psalm. And I put the frame at slightly different levels and angles. Deliberately, I wanted to go for an off-kilter design there. So very happy with that. I worked it on R&R antique cotton, which has a definite yellowish sheen through it, and 40 count. And I will be charting this and putting it on my Etsy shop. So I'll probably notify people that it's up on Etsy on my Instagram account. So if you are interested, do look out for it. And then, of course, as this video is put up and the weeks go on, you won't have to do that because it will already be in the Etsy shop in the next weeks and months and presumably years to come. I've used a variety of thread, quite a lot of DMC, and again I will probably put DMC as the thread, but actually there is a strong variation in the brown thread of the wording because I did use, I think it was Classic Colorworks hazelnut mostly, to get the difference in colour without having to change the thread. The words are 1/1, 40 count, and I know that some of you will be raising your hands in horror at that. However, there are two things you could do if you are interested in stitching this but want to back off 1/1 on 40 count. One way is to retain the 40 count and you'll have this size of sampler, but only do 10th stitch, which is half. It's the first half of the cross stitch, and you don't go back over yourself. That makes it a great deal easier. Or you could have an enlarged design, use cross stitch, but work with a higher count, like 36 count, or even 32 count. The 32 count will make it really quite a large work. So here's the cat for tea, so I will just pause for a minute and see you in a second. So having fed the cat, here we are at the next little sampler that I've been working on in the past week, and in fact the chart came, and it was one of these ones that I just started immediately. You know what that's like. And the little boxes that I use are actually sushi lunch boxes that have been made in the style of shaker boxes, and I just love wood, and I love boxes, and I label them. I now have a labeling system, because as my number of charts and work that I'm working on is growing, I'm finding I'm really having to start being organized, and that is actually a work in progress, my organization. And the plan is to have a needle case for each project, so that I'm keeping the threads and the needles, and a little needle case that will fit into the box. So I think I'm a couple short, but I'm certainly building on them, and you'll see in another of my videos that I do give a quick tutorial on my own design of needle case. So the sampler is The Sweet Birds Sing, and it's another Blackbird design, and I had wanted to finish it for you for today, but as I say, I was really working very hard on my own design. This is quite an unusual one for Blackbird. It's quite geometric in the leaves. The birds aren't particularly. In fact, what the birds remind me of are the little jigsaw puzzles that you would have as a child, where you had the various flat pieces in different colours that fit together. I don't know if you remember those. I changed the design at the top. I took a heart from the large sampler that they have there, the housewife, and I popped the heart. I turned it around the other way and popped it in instead of the letter. I will probably put in the date though. Well, I'm not sure. I'll wait and see. And it's got some really nice threads with it as well. Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks. Here we are. It's on 40 count Heartland. In that, that's what I had, was 40 count Heartland, and quite bold reds and greens. And this is a Welsh design, and I have to say it rather reminds me of the striped skirts that the Welsh ladies in their national dress would have worn. National dress doesn't really happen in the UK, unfortunately. We have less stress on a national dress than I think the Norwegians. They seem to really love keeping their national dress. And in fact, my surname and my clan name, I am Scottish Highland, and my clan name actually has its own tartan, and I think there are three forms: the ancient, the dress, and the modern, which is a red with a pale blue stripe going through it. Sometime or other I'll show you that, no doubt. And here is the chart. Now the original, as I say, get back on track. The original is Welsh, and it's quite strident in colour compared to a lot of the other pastels, gentle pastels that I've been stitching. The original is, but Blackbird Designs have toned it down rather, and made them into more pastels. And so there we are. That's The Sweet Birds Sing by Blackbird Design. And then the next one, oh dear, well, As you will know, many of you, I am alternating Come Into My Garden, which I am loving, with Merrily Merrily We Welcome the Spring. And I'm alternating them week by week. Well, this has been a bit of a casualty. I've really not managed to progress particularly fast on Merrily Merrily. Here's the box and here's the needle case. That's my own design. And it fits rather nicely into the box. The box is labelled so that I don't get in a muddle too much. And again, we have beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous colour of choice for the threads. Classic Colorworks, Weeks Dye Works against Oaken. Picture this plus 36 count Oaken. Oh, just absolutely gorgeous. Yes, 36 count, and you can see from the chart the result, these beautiful muted colours. Beautiful, beautiful. I am struggling with this. To tell you the truth, I'm not very happy with Oaken for this. I've used Oaken before and absolutely loved it. I can't tell you why it isn't working for me. Possibly because there are some variations in dye lot. This may be just rather more saturated brown than other by Oaken. But I'm finding that the actual colours of threads are disappearing into the cloth. They're becoming submerged, rather too submerged, I think. You can see where I've got to. I'm just working on the urn on the bottom left corner there. And as I say, I had wished to finish all the flowers on it, but I haven't managed. So, yes, I'm struggling with it. It's one that seems to be resisting my stitching it. I am sitting in the bright sunshine in my garden at the moment. We have lovely weather at the minute, April in Scotland, beautiful. The bright sunshine is certainly enabling me to stitch faster, but this one is actually, to tell you the truth, it's resisting me. I will progress, I will continue, I will go back to Come Into My Garden, which is just zipping through in the following weeks. So this will be done in 2 weeks' time. And I'm one of these people who, you know, once I've started, I don't want to, I just feel if I lay it aside, I may never pick it up again. And of course, that would be a tremendous waste. I have stitched right round the actual base of the border. And so we'll see. You may just have to be patient with me while I crawl my way through the year with this one. But as I say, if I lay it to the side, I'll probably never come back to it. There's so many other wonderful things. So I'll have just another little pause. So you'll see from my introduction, my garden, or part of it, and my letterbox, and what happens when a company posts some thread and fabric to me. In this case today it was from 123 Stitch in America. I also received from a variety of companies in the UK, Peakside, Lakeside Needlecraft, the Patchwork Rabbit, and West End Embroidery, just some of them. I'm sure there are others as well. So what arrived? Well, I already had the Basket of Cherries chart, which I'm really excited about starting. It's one of those ones that kept jumping out at me, and I know when that happens I've got to give in and go for it. It's just absolutely delightful for popping in my conservatory by my geraniums for the summer. I did actually have a few of the threads already. It requires, it's Gentle Arts sampler threads for all of them. and I did have a few of them, and then I had some more arrive today. I'm waiting for Ruby Slipper. It will be coming, so I won't fortunately be starting this quite yet till it arrives, and I have so much on the go just now. I have to finish something else before I'll start this. I wonder what that will be. It calls for 32 count cocoa by Weeks Dye Works. So quite a large count, so shouldn't take me too long. And it's part of the Garden Club series, number 1. And then the other item that arrived is a new chart for me, Blackbird Designs, Thy Love More Strong. Thy Love More Strong. And this again will be kept. I'm not going to be rushing into starting this one. It's a booklet of 3 projects, and I think I now have the actual number of threads. I think they've all arrived. Beautiful, beautiful colours. Classic Colorworks and Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works. And they are calling for 36, they're calling for 36 count Velt. My picture this plus. I think I have that. I certainly have a Velt. I know I do. Whether it's 36 count or 40, I'm not sure. And I may end up, if I have 40 in my fabric drawer, then I will, I mustn't show you that. Then I will, I'll go with the 40 count. Lovely, lovely items. It has the sampler and then 2 smaller items on the back there. Now, I inherited from my mother and from her side of the family, who were certainly very accomplished stitchers going back generations, and I will be filling you in a little bit more because there is very interesting history on that part. But I inherited from her an absolutely beautiful antique sewing table, and I am wanting now to start to organize it properly and to put really lovely things in, but items of my making. I do have a couple of antiques from presents, silk winders, and a beautiful antique needle case. Just a few special things, but I do want to be stitching things like a little pin keep and this sort of thing. I've just remembered, I do need to show you something that I forgot, which was in the silk. As you know, I'm still organizing, I'm still pulling things together and in a way experimenting, and I do, as I say, have a couple of mother of pearl antique silk winders, and they are obtainable, but you have to finally choose. Are you going to be choosing charts and threads, or are you going to be building up your antique collection? And at the moment, for me, financially, it's a choice of one or the other. But I did have little wooden silk winders. They're just MDF. They're fake. They're fake Victorian, but they're rather sweet. So I do have a number of those, and I was experimenting with My Heart Can Rest. I'm experimenting, as you know, with the silk there, and experimenting with the best way of using the threads as I go through. Just having my my little group of threads, and then the ones that I'm actually working with on that part of the sampler, and keeping them in a compartment in my antique sewing table. I'm sounding a bit muddled because I still haven't quite sorted it out within my own mind, but I'll get there. And I do have an idea for perhaps making my own silk winders. I suppose they're silk minders as well, silk winders, which it's a plan, and it may come into fruition, in which case at that point I will definitely share with you. That's a bit of a mystery, isn't it? So the antique sewing table came to mind a couple of days ago, and I really wanted to think about what I was going to fit it with. Now, I then came, you know how there is serendipity in life. If there wasn't serendipity in life, life would be very dull. And if there was too much, life would become rather worrisome, I think. An Edwardian lady that I absolutely love and have been deeply influenced by, is a lady called Flora Klickmann, Klickmann. And though she has a German surname, I think, she was actually English, and she edited magazines. And she well, I'll read a little bit of history to you about her. Fleet Street never produced a more handsome pair than the boys' own paper and the girls' own paper, so it is hardly surprising that bound volumes, like individual copies, have become collector's items. Just before Christmas 1983, a lady from Southport rang me to announce that she now owned a complete run of those edited by Flora Klickmann between 1908 and 1931. And since these had been acquired in single copies, these magazines, this was indeed an achievement of which to be proud, and one likely to be envied by many other collectors. And it goes on to say that Flora Klickmann, the original editor was someone called Peters of the boys' own paper, girls' own paper. And at Peters' decease in 1907, the editorship was handed over to Miss Flora Klickmann. She was married, of the Windsor Magazine's editorial staff. She sagaciously incorporated the women's magazine into the girls' own paper, and under the combined title, the monthly magazine has a capital circulation. And of course it doesn't now, it's completely out of print. She was a very busy lady, and she not only edited the girls' own paper. I have an annual of them here. One of my prized possessions in my library, and another absolutely lovely one, which is a Christmas collection. And these are, I think, an incredible resource. If you can, you just buy one, if you can get them. They are the magazines going through and giving you the most amazing insight into Edwardian life. And I just am so attracted to Edwardian life. My cottage here was built in late Victorian times, and I just love the whole aesthetic. There's so many aspects, but also the way of life for girls and women, for many girls, not all of them. And it's reflected in truly in these magazines, because what Flora Klickmann did was to promote the things and feed the imaginations of the women of that era. So we have, and she also includes, she was a writer, she wrote her own books, which are lovely, they're really lovely. She had her own cottage in Gloucestershire, that's in the west of England, and she would include in magazines chapters of books. So here's included in this one here, The Country of the Pointed Firs, which I think was written by a Canadian lady. Here's Getting on Each Other's Nerves, Noel, china that is unique, children's clothes that are pleasing, the newest lines in underwear, sense that we are losing, sense we are losing. There was poetry, the big outdoors, the adventures of a homely woman. They're just so quaint. The simple slip over model, and this is actually what we would call a jumper now. So she does have some. She did have some not recipes but patterns of things to make in her books as well, in her magazines as well. These are bound volumes of the magazines, but she also produced books with original Edwardian designs for all sorts of things, macrame, applying crochet to lingerie, napery, beadwork, fancy stitches for dress trimmings, feather stitching, smocking, hardanger work, Irish crochet, just on and on and on. So a couple of days ago, when I was thinking about my own antique work table, I happened to come across, picked up her The Cult of the Needle and opened it, and here is a lovely article that she has written, My Workbox, and she talks about what she had included in her workbox, and of course they're all antiques, but she really could write as well, and I really wanted to read you a bit because she was in a way quite contemporary. Where have we got to? One of the humours of life as we grow older and leave our teens behind is to look back and remember what self-opinionated little importances we were at about 16. How fixed were our views of life, how we knew everything, how certain we were that our ideas would be precisely the same for all the rest of time, and how original and wonderful we considered those ideas of ours to be. And incidentally, what a trial most of us were to our families at just about that age. Still, it's a merciful thing that in the majority of cases we gain a little wisdom as we grow older and learn that there may, after all, be some worth in the things we scorned as youngsters. It's a good thing too that our tastes often become quite healthy and normal as we proceed along the 20s. It was so in my own case, I believe, for it was just about then that I began to develop an interest in needlework. It came to me as a sort of reaction after too much mental work and the inevitable nervous breakdown that finds out most girls who are imbued with the notion that their intellectual attainments are of vast importance to the nation. And after the breakdown, when I couldn't bear the sight of books or the sound of music, I found myself actually doing needlework and liking it too. And the fascination of it grew upon me very rapidly, till now I really don't know what I should do if I hadn't needlework to fall back upon as a recreation when I get overdone with the wear and tear and strain of work in our great city. And maybe that speaks to some of you who are in intellectual jobs, office work in big cities, longing for the countryside and looking to the needle for recreation. We don't really talk about, it was incredibly the fashion to talk about nervous breakdowns in about the 1950s and 1960s. And that seems to, we talk about stress and mindfulness a little bit now, don't we? But the phrase nervous breakdown has passed into history. She did have a breakdown though, and which she recovered from fully. And I think perhaps it was because she was living through the First World War. and all of the tension just across the channel. She was a very sensitive lady, a lovely lady, and I hope that introducing her to you, some of you will go on and have a look into the life and the interests and the ideas of Flora Klickmann. So there we are. Another busy week, and one to come, sitting in the sunshine at the moment. My cherry blossom is coming out, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye bye.